Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, traders. Steve here at Logic FX Trading, and welcome to another lesson in our Competent Trader series. Today we're going to look at zigzags, and we're looking at it under identification. And simply what we're going to do is we're going to take our basic zigzag that we learned about in the basic building blocks series, and we're going to then go into a live chart and have a look at what a zigzag looks like, so that you know how to identify it. We'll not go any further than that. Remember, this is just it's an accumulative process that we're doing here. We've looked at motive waves. We're now going to look at zigzags. We'll look at flats, triangles, and then we'll look at some complex corrections. And then we'll move on to the next level, which will be how to interpret what we're looking at, how to run through a whole chart and identify all the different parts in it and interpret what that means. In other words, what should happen next? What are we getting? What structure is being made? And what are we going to get next? So, okay, let's get on with our identification of zigzags. So, as we know, a zigzag is a wave that looks like that. In other words, we have 5 waves coming down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that could be impulsive, or it can be motive waves are impulsive waves are motive waves. It can be in an impulse or a diagonal, and for clarity of that we'll draw a little diagonal in there. So what we have so far there is 5, 3, 5. That's the structure of a diagonal. A zigzag. 5, 3, 5, which basically means what we're missing is 3 waves in there, which essentially is another zigzag or possibly a flat. That 3 waves in there. So this is the fractal nature of waves, of charts. And as we know, each of these could be broken down and broken down and broken down, so we can go on almost to infinitum. So our zigzag has 5, 3, 5, 5 waves there, 3 waves there as a connector, and then 5 waves down. That's what it looks like. So the purpose of a zigzag is to bring price back down after a move up. It's to correct price. Whereas with a flat correction, it's generally to buy time before price moves on up, or before it moves down, but it's consolidation. It's about buying time, moving sideways, and a zigzag brings price down. And of course we can get, on a higher level, we can get a zigzag that turns out to be an A wave of a bigger flat correction. But that's the thing, the zigzag's the thing that moves price. Now obviously it can move it down, or if we're in a bear market, it can move it back up again. So let's go and have a look at some of these on a live chart. We'll start over here. Well, this is our number 1. We're going to look at 3, and there you can see that distinctive pattern that we've been looking at, where we've got a move up, we've got a correction off it, and we've another move up. That's a typical zigzag. Now, if you want to go, now the reason we look at structures rather than count waves, and we do count waves sometimes, but the reason we look at structures is counting waves can be almost counterproductive at times, because when you start getting into the details of this sort of thing, you spend an awful lot of time. Now, as I know, you're learning, so you can go in and count these if you want, but the easier way to do is just know where you are in the process. You know you've come down, you're going to get a correction. At this point, that tells us, because that's an impulsive wave there, without even counting the waves, we can see that that's impulsive. Why is that? Because if that was going to be a 3, it would look more like that. It would come up with a correction be there, and then it would look like that. When it looks like that, that's impulsive. There's 5 waves in there, guys. Now, let's have a closer look at it and see if we can count the 5 waves. but it isn't absolutely necessary. You get to a point where you just have to look at it and you can see what it is. So if we go down to say the 4-hour time scale, let's have a closer look at this on 4 hours. And we'll move in a little bit. And once you get to there, you can see it's not a 3-wave structure immediately. So then you can start to go something along the lines of 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. Something to that extent. To be quite honest, I don't even think that's it. I think it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then our 5th wave is an ending diagonal. And then we get a break. Remember, this is on a 4-hour time scale, so this is actually quite a big move. So let's just clean that up and have another look at it. So it's possibly 1, with this being a contracting flat from a point of view of the C wave, which that would be, hasn't come down and touched the bottom, nor has it broken it. But the C wave has come down to there and then it's taken off again to give us our 3rd wave. Then that's our 4th wave, and our 5th wave has been an ending diagonal. Now, you can count that as many times as you want. You can recount it. You can do whatever you want with it, guys. The important thing about identification is that it's only going to be one of 3 things. It's either going to be an impulsive wave or it's going to be a corrective wave. If it's corrective, it'll have 3 distinctive waves there, possibly 3 distinctive waves there, and 3 distinct. In other words, it'll look like that, guys. So if it looked like that and it got to that point, we would be looking for a move back down into that region. Why? Because that's an A, a B of a regular flat possibly, and then maybe a C before it goes. But because it's impulsive, that gives you the clue. And I'm doing a little bit of identification here, guys, or a little bit of interpretation here, which is maybe beyond the remit of this. But essentially this is a 1. Oops. This is a 1, 2, 3 zigzag. A, B, C. A, B, C. So where's the 3 waves in there? Because it's supposed to be a 5, 3, 5. And if we look at that, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up there. That is a diagonal because the 4th waves come into the area of the 1st. So that's a diagonal. The first one's an impulsive wave. And there'll be a 3 in there, guys. And if we go in closer, we'll probably be able to see it. If we just take that out of the way. Possibly a 1, 2, 3. You might say it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But don't let that, and this is the point of it, guys, don't let that discourage you from the idea that this could be a zigzag. And that's part of what we'll do in identification, guys. Because it isn't all painting by numbers, which is the thing that I like, the little term I like to use. Yes, we can do this. We can go A, B, C, zigzag, or even put it to there. Zigzag, and then it's finished. That's it, guys. Don't start trying to count every little wave in here. Look at the overall structure and you can see it's a zigzag. That's your zigzag. Now, let's go back to the daily. And here's number 2 that I want to show you. That one looks a little bit clearer, but you can see it again. It's come down 1, 2, 3. And 5, 3, 5 yet again. Now let's go in and have a closer look at it to see if we've got impulses within there. There it is. And once you get down to that level, you can see the impulses, guys. That's an impulse, that's a 3. That one's a lot clearer and a lot better than the other one, but that's the point of it, guys. That we can't worry too much about what it looks like or how many waves are in it. Other than, listen, if it was clearly a 3-wave structure, if it clearly came down like that, then it wouldn't be a zigzag, guys, because if there's 3 waves coming to there, those 3 waves there would probably bring it up close again to there to give us a regular flat. And that's the point about the difference between this being an impulsive wave and it being a corrective wave, meaning the first part, the A part. If this first part came down like this, gave us a stronger pullback, went like that, and then started to come back up again, then this becomes a regular flat, possibly, or an expanded flat, but a flat. The fact that there were 5 waves in there told us that we'd get 3 in here and then it would continue on down. That's the important part of identifying a zigzag. 5 waves gives us 3 waves, gives us 5 waves. 3 waves gives us 3 waves, gives us 5 waves. Because a regular flat is 3, 3, 5, whereas a zigzag is 5, 3, 5. So let's have a quick look at these. First of all, let's do the big thing, which is from the top. And say it's from there. 1, 2, 3. A, B, C, zigzag. And then we'll go and we'll count the waves. And it's something along the lines of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Beautiful little impulse down. And then here we have A, B, let's call that C, because that's got 3 waves in it as well. And then this last one here has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another little impulsive move down. So we'll get a 5, 3, 5. That's a zigzag, guys. But you can see how it's different to the other zigzag. But nonetheless, it's a zigzag because it's bringing price down. It's moving in a downwards corrective manner rather than moving sideways, which is what a flat does. Okay, let's take her back to the 1 day again, and we'll find our third one that we're going to look at here. Now remember, guys, don't be worrying too much. We'll be going through these day after day after day, and this is just to give you an overall view of what they look like. Here's the third one here. This little corrective wave coming down here. Impulsive, impulsive, with a join in the middle. And price has moved down in that direction, in a diagonal direction. So let's count them. Let's get rid of that, right? And this is a bit more difficult to count than the last one, but let's just say there's a 1, 2, 3, which is our join. Then we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but the third wave there isn't correct. So what we perhaps need to do with this one, and this is part of the difficulty of counting these things, is that perhaps the first wave comes to there, and then we've got a running flat for our second wave, and then that's our third wave. This is our fourth wave, this whole correction, and then there's our fifth. This is partly why we use trend lines, and we say on the break of the trend we start to trade it up or down, depending on where it's breaking out of. And if we pull this right back, we potentially have our trend that comes down like that, and it runs along the bottom, and there's our zigzag coming down within that channel. So what's the first wave? Potentially that's the first wave, that's the second wave, third, fourth and fifth. With maybe a 1, 2, 3, an A, B, C with a three wave in there. But yet again, guys, don't worry too much at this stage about counting all the individual little waves, because you will just get yourself completely combobulated. And that's the whole point about what we're trying to do here, guys. The reason for doing this in this way, the identification, is so that you can see without going in and counting individual waves. You can just look at something and you can say that's a zigzag, which is possibly part of a bigger corrective structure. And if we then go back over here, we have a zigzag there. In all likelihood that's a zigzag, but you'd have to go down maybe to the 1 hour time scale to see it. There's another zigzag, you can see it there, guys. It's come down, up and down as a zigzag. There's another zigzag there, which is possibly part of a contracted flat. I'm not sure if that's a contracted flat or not. Some people are calling it that. I've called it a 1, 2, and then started counting my third wave from there. 1, 2, and then this is the third wave. Some people call that a contracted flat, but for me that's a zigzag. That's the other zigzag. This is an impulsive move down with another little possible zigzag there. Here's a flat. This is a flat correction here. You can see it. Why is it a flat correction? Because it's going sideways, guys. It's going flat. That's the point of it. Zigzag brings it back. Flat takes it that way. And this is possibly a flat correction as well here. It's still in development, so we don't know. But if this comes down like that, then it will give us an A, B, C flat correction, with that being our impulse up to there. Okay, guys, I hope that helps. It's just the start of our process, is to just identify where the zigzags are and what's the difference between zigzags and flats. Okay, that'll do us for this lesson. Next lesson we'll be looking at the different types of flat correction. Bye for now, guys.